Hello everyone, and I wish I could be with you in person, but it's great to be able to join you today to speak about the importance of arts education and the combined effect of working with arts in the schools and also working with arts outside of the schools. I think the importance of the arts is something that has really increased over the experiences of the last 18 months to 2 years. We knew of a number of disruptions in the way society works, and we've seen those in a sort of amplified way across the last sort of period of time. And some of these disruptions are things like, for example, obviously the health issues, the whole COVID pandemic that we've experienced. There's also environmental issues. We have changes in migration, in the cultures within our society. We also have changes in our working lives. We're working often remotely. We're moving to smaller units of work, so we're people working for themselves, working as entrepreneurs. The very nature of work is changed. And what all of these disruptions in combination mean is that to be able to flourish and to really do well into the future, we need to be developing a broad range of skills that equip us for change, that enable us to be able to adapt and move forward, whatever the future holds for us. And we refer to those skills as fusion skills because they don't exist solely in one discipline, and they operate across all areas, and we need them throughout our lives. So they're important for very young children, they're important during our school learning, but they're also important as we go through our working lives, all the way through, right up to all ages that we work. And those fusion skills are things like communication skills, problem solving, creativity, the capacity to be able to be resilient. All of these skills in combination equip us very well to be able to cope with whatever life throws at us. And my argument is that the arts activities, although you can gain these skills in a number of ways, the arts activities really are rich in the development of these sorts of skills. And so it's a basic right now of children to have an experience to gain these cultural skills, these skills that enable the fusion skills that enable them to flourish now and into the future. If I give an example, in a drama lesson, if you're doing drama work, you're working collaboratively, which is one of the core fusion skills. You have to use a range of communication techniques: visual communication, bodily communication, oral communication, written communication. So you're using a number of communication skills. It's open-ended, so you have to be able to be creative, to problem solve. You need to perform, you need to be able to be resilient, to have confidence, to be able to operate in a setting that's a public setting and working with other people. Those skills that you develop through drama don't just apply if you're going to have a career in drama. They apply whatever your career is in. You're able to take those fusion skills and apply them in other contexts. This is recognised if you look at something like the European Index of Innovation, because when it's looking at whether a country is innovative or not, it actually uses a whole lot of measures. There's currently 27 separate measures that are used to determine if a country is an innovative country. One of the measures that it looks at under the section on quality of people are the number of hours of arts education in the school. Because in that measure, they're able to say the more arts education children get in schools, the more likely it is they're going to have those fusion skills, those dispositions that enable them to be innovative, successful people now and into the future. So you're able to predict the innovative capacity of a country by looking at how many hours of arts education, amongst other measures, that a child receives. Now that gives, if you like, an economic argument or an argument for why it's important in terms of future careers and the developments in our society. But there's also a very basic argument, which is an argument about well-being and about human rights. In the United Nations Charter, it actually says everyone has the right to freely participate in the cultural life of the community and to enjoy the arts. Now, there's some very tough words in that statement because, first of all, it says everyone. So everyone includes those people who have ability or disability. It includes all sectors of our society. It includes people of all ages. It includes people of all ethnic origins, whether they live in a city or in the countryside. So everyone really puts an obligation on us that are working in education or working in the cultural sector to really challenge ourselves about whether we're actually addressing everybody in the work that we do. It also talks about freely engaging. So what limitations or barriers may exist now that prevent people from freely engaging? Is it cost? Is it the time these things are offered? Where they're offered? So thinking about how we make the arts and cultural education as accessible as possible for all the people. And I love the way it finishes with, and enjoy it. This should be a joyous thing. We don't want to make this so restrictive or so formalized or formulaic that people don't enjoy it, that there's no longer that sense of joy, sense of human flourishing coming through the arts. When you have those things working well, you will have high impact. You'll have impact on things like economic life of the community, but you'll also have impact on improved educational outcomes. We know that schools that are arts-rich schools, for example, have better results in literacy and numeracy and are more likely to have children who will be engaged in the civic nature of the school, the development of a sense of citizenship within the school. When we talk about arts as well, it's important to think about what we're actually saying. And I'm going to suggest that there are 4 different ways of looking at arts and arts education. The first is the one that we're most familiar with, and I refer to that as education in the arts. And these are lessons in visual arts, lessons in drama, lessons in dancing, lessons in music. These are very core education in the arts. And on average around the globe, children get in primary school about 3 hours a week of education in the arts. And in secondary school, that drops down to about 1 hour a week. So first of all, it's really important that we see that the arts continue throughout the life and certainly throughout the education system. So we're not just having it for young children, that we're bringing it in for the older children as well. The second way of thinking about the arts is education through the arts. And this is where you use artistic means and techniques across a whole range of learning and subject areas within the school and even outside of the school within informal education that might occur beyond the school day. So this is where you may use, for example, you can use dance to teach mathematic concepts. You can use drama to explain a scientific experiment. You can enhance language learning by bringing in drama or bringing in other art forms. So you can get arts and creative methods into lots of subjects within the curriculum. That's education through the arts. The third one I wanted to speak about is where art itself becomes a form of education. So where art can teach us things that are very hard to explain to us if we are using other means. And one of the things that we've seen in recent years is that there are increasingly complex social issues and emotional issues that are quite hard to explain in words or in traditional ways. We cannot teach, for example, with explicit teaching value systems. But you can gain value systems by using the arts as a proxy, as a way to encapsulate those value systems. If I give you an example, if you look at Picasso's Guernica painting, it teaches us so much about the futility of war. It teaches us so much about the importance of peace, and that's encapsulated in the artwork itself. And the final form is where education itself becomes an artwork. It is so rich, it is so beautiful, the way that education is done, is that it allows us to really see education itself as being transformed into an artwork. And on that last point, I think that it's really important that every educational institution should be a cultural institution. How do you bring the culture into that educational institution? But in reverse, every cultural institution, every museum, every gallery, every conservatoire needs to have at its heart learning as a core part of what that institution is all about. But all of what I have said so far only makes sense if the provision you get is quality. Because when I completed the WOW factor, the big study for UNESCO where I looked at quality of arts education, unfortunately, a third of all arts education is so poor in quality that it would be better off that the child didn't have it at all, because it actually caused more negative effects than it led to positive outputs or impacts. So what makes quality? I'm going to go through 10 things, and these are absolutely core. And we know that the more of the 10 things you have, the more likely it is that what you offer is quality. So first of all, there's partnerships, working together, being flexible, having flexibility in your programs, making your programs accessible and open to all, professional development of both the artists, the cultural workers and the teachers that are working on the program, having time for reflection and evaluation, keeping your program local. Although there's some global resources you can use, it's important that it meets the local needs, including exhibition and performance, making sure that's a core part. It's not just about process. The arts are about performance and exhibition. Having a research question or an orientation in the way you think, even for little children. How do you make orange? What colours could we use to create orange? Introducing people early on to the language of the art form, whether it's the language of film or drama or music, introducing those unique languages. And finally and importantly, taking risks, not just staying within our safe area. I want to finish now by just saying the arts are both the candle and they're the match. They can light the flame, but they also make it bring lightness to the rest of the work that you're doing. Thanks very much.